My opening statement is, I want to open this with a statement that me making mistakes is the glue that holds me together. I am the least qualified person to be in the position I am in, and I pray to the gods every day someone will come along and retire me. Until then, it has to be done, so here we are. While being public is neither my preference nor forte, I requested to do this personally because I really owe you, Mayor Devine, a most sincere apology for a series of oversights. I just myself showed up to the Glendale gay game the last few years thinking Glendale a queer desert, but you've been doing good on our behalf for years, minus notice and recognition. So we need to fix this, and I deeply thank you for letting me do so. That's
Well,
mine. Now is your turn.
all right. Well, I thank you for giving me this chance to speak with you, and I regret that the Pride event was canceled last year and that we're doing it virtually this year, but maybe next year we'll be able to have a real Jewel City Pride event that we're all proud of. And I am very much appreciative of GlendaleOUT's efforts to educate our community, to involve our community, and of course to give a voice to the LGBTQIA plus community.
Thank you.
I'm proud and happy that City Hall is going to be aglow with your colors in June. And so I'm just happy to be here and to support GlendaleOUT.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you. And as you're talking about GlendaleOUT, but you've been doing this a lot longer than we've been around. So my first question for you is, we'll start with the easy stuff. When did you move to Glendale, and why did you move to Glendale?
Well, I moved to Glendale because my future husband at the time said, let's buy a house. We were living in Los Angeles in apartments. And I said, well, where shall I go to look? And he said, Glendale. And I said, Glendale? Why Glendale? He said, because it's a great city. And I said, okay, well, I'll go over there and look. And I came and I found a property, and we've been here. We were married in '82, and we've been here ever since.
Had you heard of Glendale?
Pardon?
Had you even heard of Glendale?
I had, because, you know, my brother-in-law and sister were married and they lived on Los Feliz Boulevard and Hillhurst. And he said, I remember when I came out to visit, this was before I moved, because I'm from the East Coast originally. And he said, I'm going to take you to the best steakhouse ever. I said, okay. And where do you think he brought me? To Damon's. And then he said, and now we're going to get the best. So we went to Foster's or Foster Freeze down there on, I think it's Glendale and Los Feliz. I think that's where it was somewhere. Anyway, so I had heard of it, yes. I just never thought about living here. But then when I came over and the brokers started taking me around, I thought, gee, this is a really lovely city. And yeah, we could probably find something very nice here.
That's great. And it boded well for us. In another Zoom, in another conversation, we'll talk about how much you've seen Glendale change since 1982.
I've seen a lot of change everywhere, believe me. Yeah.
True. You have a Wikipedia page. I don't have one. Clearly, I need people. Who is your biographer?
Well, that has to be my husband. He does all of my media stuff. You know, my bios, my pictures. He does most of that. Yeah.
He's doing a good job. I mean, that's pretty impressive to run into that.
Yeah.
Okay. 2014 is when you first ran for city council. What made you want to suffer this? You are a member or board member of a number of organizations. Was city council the next logical step, or was it something independent of these positions that led you to it?
Well, you know, I had been involved in the city for, you know, I retired in 2000. And I wanted to get involved with the city, so I started volunteering, and I got on, you know, involved with a lot of organizations and onto boards, et cetera. Then I was appointed to the Commission on the Status of Women because being a physical education teacher, when I started teaching, it was teaching all girls. And so I saw what issues they had. And so when I was asked to be on a commission and which one would you want to participate. And I said, well, the Commission on the Status of Women, because being a woman, knowing the issues that we have, and having taught young girls for 30 some years, I kind of had a feel for what was necessary. So I was chair of that commission for 4 years, I believe it was, and vice chair for 2. I served for 8, and you can only serve for 2 terms, 8 years. And so I thought, well, I'm ready to step down and do something else. And at that time, there was Frank Quintero had been taking Rafi Manukian's place, as a kind of a placeholder. And the city finally decided for the next date, let's have a special election for this particular seat for 8 months. And so my friend said, Paula, you should do this. And I said, do what? And they said, well, run for council and step up. And, because I was stepping down. And they said, instead of stepping down, step up to policy making. And I thought, oh, okay. And just like every other woman and girl in this whole world, I thought, what do I have to offer? What am I bringing to the table? And they all said, no, you got to do this because you listen to us. You hear what we say. You understand what we're going through. And I thought, okay. So I talked it over with my husband many, many hours and finally said, let's just go for it. Let's just go for it. What are the chances of me winning? And so, of course, I ran, and there were 6 of us, 6 candidates for the 1 seat, and I was the only woman, and I won. And so for 8 months, I sat on the council, and I was also in campaign mode because I had to run for the 4-year term. So, one thing led to another. So that was really how it was, with the encouragement of friends and residents in Glendale, and of course, with the support of my husband.
It's a big step and it's a big dedication.
Huge leap, huge leap.
Yeah. Let's see. In 2016, you graduated to mayor. I think it is early 2017 that you signed onto the initiative Mayors Against LGBTQ Discrimination. Followed this with an agenda item here in Glendale that was approved that March. The agenda is called Resolution, this is a big title, Resolution of the Council of the City of Glendale to Oppose Discrimination Against the LGBT Community. So Mayor, a few things here. What put this on your radar? What was your motivation towards this? We were all sleeping at the wheel at this point while you're blazing a Glendale trail of queer rights and recognitions. I'm thinking no one asked you for it, no one noticed it, and you just did it because. So tell me about this.
Well, I believe I was mayor at the time, and I get, like you say, I get a lot of emails. And one of them was about this particular mayor's resolution. And I thought, I understand from past experience, your community and issues and fears and acceptance issues that you have. So I've always had a place in my heart. I used to teach my students that, this is like a big ship that we're on. And no matter who we are or what we think, we're all here together, and we have to kind of make it work and respect each other. And so when this came across, I thought, oh, well, I have to do this because it's right. It's the right thing to do. And so I brought it to council, and I didn't do it on my own. Council was there right beside me and voted to approve that resolution. So that's basically how it happened.
They did, and they did so overwhelmingly.
Yes.
My next paragraph on this series of questions was, I'd never heard about any of this. The meeting of the resolution, there was like one gay guy who showed up to thank you. And he was followed by that woman who was pleading for the rights of heterosexual white guys. I don't know if you remember that. It's like great stuff.
Yes. Yeah.
The one question I haven't asked you and that I didn't write down previously, which is the obvious question, is you have an education background, and what is your education background? Your teaching background. How many years were you in it?
I was actually teaching for an educator for 32 and a half years. My degree is, I have a Bachelor of Science and a master's in education administration. When I was teaching, I served as department chair briefly. I was a coach. I was the first girls athletic director under Title IX. So I saw a huge opening change for girls in sports and women in sports. So that was fantastic. And so that's basically my background. I taught some English. I have an English minor. I have a physical education major and an English major and a biology minor.
Wow.
So that's kind of my background.
You've covered like the entire spectrum. That's pretty impressive. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see. In 2019, I absolutely screwed up by saying no one on council paid homage to Stonewall 50. I was absolutely wrong. You did. I am so sorry for my oversight. You also pay homage to all of Pride Month. So we again have what seems to be a voice in a gay desert. We have and have had a plethora of council members in Glendale to whom the LGBTQIA plus community gets nary a nod. What about this community matters to you as a civic leader? Why should it matter to a civic leader?
Well, you know, my mantra as a council person, as a mayor, is that everyone in this community deserves a voice. And you are part of this community. You are a very important part of this community. And so it's my heartfelt focus to make sure that you are heard. And I really appreciate the fact that you are, you know, you have opinions and you have ideas and you have perspectives, and all of these are valuable to our community. And so I feel it's important that not only Glendale, but every community recognize the contributions that you can make to this city or to their city. Yeah.
Right. Like the more inclusive any community is, the better that community becomes.
Exactly.
Is what I'm hearing.
Right. And you know, we have to listen as elected officials. It's our duty to listen to all of the voices of our community and not to judge. You know, we shouldn't judge, you know, who it's coming from. We just should listen and take everything in, and then that's how we should make decisions.
Nice.
So you deserve a voice.
Let's see, I got that. The GALIS, the Gay and Lesbian Armenian Society, and Equality Armenia are active long before GlendaleOUT showed up. And Equality Armenia got behind you as a queer ally candidate in 2020. You attended their leadership council. What are challenges specific to the queer Armenian community that you took away from that?
Well, you know, that's a very interesting story. I think I met the young man that was organizing the Equality Armenia at the library, at the opening of the library. And he was such an engaging, intelligent young man. And I just really, you know, sometimes you take a liking to someone, you just kind of know they're a good person and they are trying to do well. And so I just made sure that he knew that whatever they needed, you know, I would be there for them. But let's see, what was the other part of your question? Oh, well, what are they? You know, their fears are the same as all of your fears. Fear of acceptance, fear of recognition, fear of being, what's the word I'm looking for? Fear of being ostracized. It's you know, it's painful no matter what your background, no matter what your religion, no matter where you come from. I think the issues are all the same for the LGBTQIA plus community.
Have you seen those? This is an off the cuff question. Have you seen those issues evolve over your years as educator and community leader?
I was thinking about this this morning, about when I became aware of discrimination against the LGBTQ, should I say, IA plus community. And it wasn't really until I didn't notice it in high school, went to college, and of course I was in physical education. And at that time, there was always this underlying belief that all women in physical education were gay. You know, that was like the first time I was kind of made aware of this kind of underlying feeling about, but you know what, I didn't think anything of it because I loved all of my instructors and the gals that I was, learning with and being educated with. And but when I came to Southern California, as I mentioned, I'm from the East Coast. So we, when I came to Southern California and I was coaching, it was, I believe, after a softball game, girls softball game. And all the kids had gone home, and the coach, another coach, and I were in our offices, and the locker rooms were down the hall, and I could hear somebody crying. And so we said, who's there? Everybody's gone. So we went into the locker room, and there was a young girl. I believe she was at that time a junior, and she was crying hysterically. And so we brought her into our office and said, what's going on? Trying to speak with her. And it turned out that she was just having problems with her sexuality. She just didn't know who she was or what was going on. And I mean, she was traumatized. And it turned out, of course, that she was gay. And that was what she came out and said, I think I'm gay. And so it was from that moment on that I thought, wow, I see so much pain here. And then, of course, I have friends who have children that are gay. And I saw also not only the pain in the kids, but in the parents, the fear that the concern that parents had, and also the unwillingness to accept. I remember sitting down at lunch once with a friend, and she just found out, or she was thinking that her son was gay. And she was in tears. What am I going to do? And I said, what do you mean? What are you going to do? You're going to support him. You're going to love him. You're going to be there when he needs you. That's what you're going to do. He's a great kid, So that's kind of the way I became. Now I have several friends with gay kids, a friend with a transgender child. I mean, it's part of life. Let's face it. It's part of our community. Let's acknowledge it and what, I don't want to say enjoy it, but just kind of appreciate that diversity. It's great.
It is. I rather enjoy mine.
Okay, we can use that word.
You can enjoy it. It's enjoyable. Let's see. We're almost done. It was a chance meeting at Crescenta Valley High School that connected us. It was Ally Week. We were both there being allies. There was some talk about a Pride event in Glendale, and it was you who approached me and ultimately paved the way to move it forward. What do you see as the benefit of having a Pride event in Glendale?
Well, it's the same as any issue that is somewhat problematic, or that we want to educate our community about. And that's what's important about this event. It's not only to bring the gay community together, but it's also to educate the rest of our community. And that's so important, because I think acceptance is oftentimes learned. And I think it's really important. And this is what at Crescenta Valley High School, was the fact that, if we start with young people, educating them about different lifestyles and acceptance and caring and kindness, and no matter what you're hearing at home, think for yourself. And this is kind of the best way to approach those that we're living with, is with kindness and respect. And that was why I thought that was such a great event. I was kind of disappointed it was in a small room. I was ready for the stage so that all of the students all of the students could learn and understand what kids go through. That was my only kind of disappointment that day, but I thought it was fantastic that the teacher was reaching out. I know when I was teaching at St. Gabriel High School, we had a club for gay and lesbian students, and I think it was quite helpful. So I think the more educating we do in our community, the better.
Yeah, and it's that connection that we've made with the Glendale Teachers Association and with the Glendale Unified School District that's really opened up this entire endeavor.
Yeah.
And I think some of what you're talking about of having broader audiences and broader discussions is a natural evolution of where we're going.
Yes, and as a matter of fact, on this interview that I watched Spencer do yesterday with 2 high school kids from CV, and the takeaway, and I thought it was so important. That's why I enjoyed high school, because high school kids have ideas, they have perspective, they have a lot of them can think critically and come up with really great ideas. And the one takeaway of that interview was, and this is why a community event is important for parents with kids, that parents make sure that their kids know that they are loved unconditionally. Yeah. That no matter what, they are going to love them, and that they show no discrimination. Parents show no discrimination against anyone or any group of people, so that if a child is thinking that they are, gay or lesbian or trans, they have gender identification issues, that they know that their parents are going to accept them and love them no matter what. And I thought that was such an important. And if we can, at a Pride event, let's say there's a parent there that's just kind of wondering, if we can just get that point across, that just love your kid unconditionally, let them know that, then maybe that's progress. That's progress.
That is progress. And it's also progress to create, it also makes Glendale, continuing this forward, makes Glendale like a safe space for these kids and for everybody in the community. And that becomes part of making it easier for their parents to deal with and to have that love go back and forth.
Sure. And now, we have this focus on social justice and that Glendale is not a discriminatory community. And so, it's very important that we teach that or educate people on that on every level, And
live it publicly so that it's part of the conversation.
That's right. And set good examples. And that's another thing that I hope that I'm doing is, I'm trying to be a kind of a model of acceptance to the public, so that they can see that, wow, we have a public official or we have elected officials that are non-discriminatory, that we care about everyone, and that we hear you. And that's important to me.
Yes, and your track record also proves it. And I'm glad that we were able to put some of that out, or put all of it out there today. I have 2 more questions for you.
Okay.
On a recent GlendaleOUT Zoom, a student that has recently joined us talked about not ever meeting an LGBTQIA plus adult in Glendale. As a former educator, what do you see in this statement?
Well, there you go, right back to the school event. For instance, you were there and your partner was there, and how great would it have been for some of the students to meet you and to talk to you and figure out, oh wow, he's just like I am, we're the same. We're all people, and we're all the same. So there is a lack of kids meeting and speaking with, and even like probably teachers are tentative about coming out. So if a teacher is gay, the kids would have maybe no idea, or they might have an idea, but they don't know for sure. And so, maybe that's a step in the right direction. So I know when I was teaching, we had at least one lesbian instructor, and she was very well liked and everyone knew, and it was fine. So I think that's important for kids.
We have a bonus question.
Uh-oh. What do I get for this one? All right.
That was the exact good response to this question. All right, the question is, this is our dessert question. You are like our very own RBG of Glendale at this point, the sole female in a sea of men. What is that like?
Wow, what a
Give us some dish.
What a Well, I'll tell you one thing. I used to call them the boys. Oh, and they didn't like that. I'd say, now, boys, you got to be, you have to behave. And then I'd go out to events and I'd say, the boys, and they didn't like that. But I have to tell you, they've always been very polite to me, even during campaigning. And then, of course, once I got on council, I think it took a while before they actually, I don't want to say listen to me, but understood or heard what I was saying. But and that's something that I think every council member has to earn, is the respect of their colleagues, that what they're saying is meaningful, and so that's kind of the learning curve. But actually, it's not a bad place to be, although the thinking kind of goes a little sideways sometimes. So I often think, geez, I wish there was another woman on council with me, and we would probably be, thinking maybe the same way. But you know what? There are 5 of us. The 5 make decisions together, and it all works out. It all works out.
When are we going to get more diversity on council? Well,
I don't know. It depends. And this is funny because when I was running, the second time I ran, there was another woman that ran, and I always remember someone saying that we need a woman on council, but we need the right woman. So women can run, but they have to be the right woman at the right time. So when that happens, it'll be great, and maybe in this next election we'll see one. We'll see.
That's our scripted questions. Is there anything else that you would like to add? Actually, Spencer, is there anything you'd like to ask?
Hey, I don't have any questions at this time. I thought that was very thorough, and it was so lovely getting to hear more of your story, Mayor Devine.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate you giving me the time to express my feelings of GlendaleOUT. I'm so proud of all of you for the work that you're doing for your community, and you have my support and my love, and I wish you all the best. And next year we're going to do it. We're going to do it live, and it's going to be great.
It is, and thank you so much for paving the way for that.
You're quite welcome.
And for sitting down with us today. Thank you, Mayor Devine.
You're quite welcome.
We're good.
Okay. All right.
Council members, my name is Mona Montgomery. I'm just concerned that everybody is getting special rights except the white male. And when you get to that point, you got to give special preference to the white male as well. So I'm here asking for a little bit of concern for the white male. Because first we started with black people. They were considered a discrete and insular minority, and that's why we gave them special protections 40 or 50 years ago. Then we extended it to the handicapped. They were also seen as a discrete and insular minority because they were shunned aside. And then we extended it to yet another minority group and another minority group. And what's happening now is that everybody's getting special rights except the white male. And so we're finding ourselves emasculated. The men are afraid to speak. They're afraid to express themselves because they're always getting bashed by everybody who says, well, you're the cause of all our problems. Sinanyan here, right, said, oh, it wasn't such a great time when we had the Statue of Liberty. We had slavery in those days. This is the only country that ever
Segregation.
put in... Huh?
Segregation. Slavery was before the Statue of Liberty.
Segregation, right. Segregation, okay, another issue. Segregation, enforced segregation deprives people of the right to associate with the people they choose to associate with. Not a very important point from your point of view, because you think that everybody should be able to associate with everybody. But the First Amendment, I think it's in the First Amendment, gives us right to free associate. However, when you start striking these rights down, these First Amendment rights down, you are striking at the very core of the Constitution, which is based on the idea of a person being allowed to be himself. I'm not suggesting that we burn homosexuals at the stake like it says in the Bible we're supposed to do. Of course not. That's ridiculous.
Pardon me?
I'm glad.
Of course not.
Yeah.
And the
didn't
mere
say
fact that you would think such evil of me and say, oh, I'm glad you don't, I'm glad you don't want to burn
You just said it.
homosexuals.
But you said it.
What?
You said it.
No, but he's impressed. He's really impressed with me because, surprise, surprise, here's a woman who does not think that we should continue to give special rights to special groups of people. And so he's kind of surprised that I don't think that homosexuals should be burned at the stake. Obviously, that's ridiculous. But there comes a point where you have to stop granting special rights to groups of people. And one of the groups of people that I think we should be protecting the rights are the businessmen who should have the right, under the burden of trying to start a business, they should have the right to hire anybody they want to for any reason they want to. And nobody should be allowed to force themselves on somebody who does not want their friendship. Thank you.